Spoilers ahead.
A 70s-style slasher set on a farm in Texas with adult entertainers and alligators. Well, I'm certainly up for it. Are you gonna come along? I couldn't think of any sexy alligator jokes.
X is a 2022 horror film written, directed, and edited by Ty West, the very man who brought us The Sacrament and one of my personal favorites, The House of the Devil. This is another A24 production, and as I've said many times, I have all the respect in the world for those guys.
A24's philosophy is simple. They try to make movies that are cool. They push boundaries, they take chances, and sometimes it really works, and other times it really does not work. Let's take a closer look at this naughty little number and see whether or not it gives you a horror boner.
The plot.
It's 1979 and we meet Maxine Minks, an aspiring adult film star played by Mia Goth. Maxine's on a road trip with her producer boyfriend Wayne. They're driving through Texas in an awesome little van with the rest of their porn pals. There's Bobby Lynn, Jackson Hole, the director RJ, and RJ's girlfriend Lorraine. VHS and home video are just starting to take off at the end of the 70s, and this eager cast are looking to cash in by inserting their adult content. The Gangbang Gang have rented a guest house from an elderly couple named Howard and Pearl. Wayne chose the location specifically to go along with the film's very original title, The Farmer's Daughters. You can tell from looking, Howard's a happy, friendly, attractive older gentleman who's partial to straight talk and shotguns, whereas his wife Pearl's more of a creepy shadow stalker with an unnatural amount of carnal enthusiasm for a person of her age. And after the cast and crew settle in, Pearl secretly invites young Maxine in for a friendly chinwag over some homemade lemonade that seems poor old Pearl passionately despises being old and sees so much of her younger self in Maxine, there's moments in the movie you'd swear they were the same person. When Pearl runs her finger over the youthful rendition of herself, Maxine gets all like, ew, but the mood stays with Pearl well into the day, so she sneaks a cheeky peek at the professionals while they're on the job. You'd think this would make Howard the luckiest granddaddy in Texas, but the miserable old coot's got a bad ticker, so he has to politely decline.
Which would have been very difficult for me. I have a thing for protruding collarbones.
That night, after a hard day of being hard, I suppose, everyone gets to relaxing. And while RJ, the director's regaling the cast with his artistic visions for the film, his girlfriend Lorraine's gone a bit frisky from watching all of the frivolity. So she decides she wants to film a scene with Jackson. Despite RJ's passionate pleading, she strips down to her Sunday best and takes the plunge anyways. So RJ's not only aware his girlfriend's banging somebody else, he's filming it, and super close up.
Now how's that for elevated horror?
Much more than a man than I would have been, RJ holds off the tears until he's alone in the shower. And after totally failing to wash the salacious images from his eyes, he throws in the towel and hits the road. But purring Pearl's not having it. She has a proper go at RJ, and when he serves her up her second polite refusal of the day, Pearl stabs him to death and reveals her own kink to be sexy, sexy murder. Eventually, Lorraine notices RJ's not in bed, so her and Wayne take a tighty-whitey walkabout. And Wayne gets done in by a pitchfork in a scene from a 1970s Roadrunner cartoon, and Lorraine's charmed into the house by handsome Howard, who tells her Pearl's missing and sends her down to the basement to grab a flashlight. But what do you know? It's a trap. Lorraine ends up stuck down in the cellar with a rotting corpse of some missing man who's had his jeans pulled down. Back at the guest house, Howard enlists Jackson's help to find the missing Pearl. And when Jackson happens upon a car half submerged in the pond, Norman Bates style, Howard shoots him in the chest.
Maybe Bonnie and Clyde aren't dead after all.
In the creepiest scene in a movie full of creepiness, Pearl slips out of her clothes and drops her adult diaper before climbing into Maxine's bed. And things go down. When Maxine realizes it's not Wayne's delicate digit running up and down her thigh, she screams the house down, and Bobby Lynn comes to the rescue. Back at the farmhouse, Lorraine hatchets her way out of the basement, but Howard forces her back inside with a wicked whack. Bobby Lynn finds Pearl down at the dock, so she tries to guide her away from the water to safety. But Pearl's on a roll, so she calls Bobby Lynn by her official job title and shoves her into the water, where an alligator brings the bubbly blonde's budding career to an early end. Which should have been no surprise to you if you were paying attention to Ty West's foreshadowing at the start of the movie. And just when you thought thought things couldn't get any cringier, Maxine gets stuck hiding under a bed while Pearl and Howard prove you're never too old to make other people want to throw up. She manages to escape while the loving, murderous couple switch over from missionary to reverse cowgirl. Maxine makes it safely back to the van and whatever's left of RJ, but the keys are missing, so she lifts the gun from the glove box and heads inside to free Lorraine. When Lorraine sprints off to sweet, sweet freedom, Howard shoots her in the face. And all the fun finally catches up with handsome Howard when his ticker stops a-ticking. Maxine gets the keys and tries shooting Pearl, but the gun ain't got no bullets. So Pearl takes a shot at retribution, but the kickback sends her flying outside. And in a poetic end to a poetic film, Maxine drives over Pearl's head.
And there you have it, folks. The plot to a film about movies that aren't generally known to have plots. Let's see if X provides you with a satisfying climax, or if you'd be better staying in shampooing your hair instead.
The good bits.
This movie's gory and violent and bloody and predictable at times and surprising at other times. In other words, it's a slasher movie, but that's not to say there was no effort put into it. This throwback aesthetic works so well with this kind of movie, from the split-screen transitions and the outfits to the van and the set pieces themselves. Ty West's hat tip to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is definitely a worthy one. In fact, he put so much effort into it, he managed to make Wanganui, New Zealand look exactly like Texas.
Blame COVID. It won't mind. It's taking the blame for literally everything else at the minute.
He also solicited solid performances from the entire cast, particularly the ladies. At 19 years of age, Jenna Ortega is already starting to rack up a decent horror portfolio with Scream 5 and Studio 666 recently. It'll be interesting to see if she stays the course and ends up a bona fide Scream queen. There's no question she's already got the Scream bit down. This wasn't Brittany Snow's first horror either, but I wouldn't say it's her forte. She did very well in the role though, and she did earn the honor of suffering my favorite death of the movie. But this was Mia Goth's film by a country mile. Before X, I was familiar with her from A Cure for Wellness and the Suspiria remake, but she'd never left any lasting impression on me. But with X, she captured that naive confidence so many young girls snorted early in their careers before the adult entertainment industry inevitably beats it out of them. I'm not as sold on her second performance in X. I do understand why Ty West insisted on having both characters be the same character, and in the metaphorical sense, it definitely works. But overall, for me, it had a bit of an aftertaste of novelty to it.
The shite bits.
Something about Pearl and Howard felt like a missed opportunity. In fact, the entire film feels like there's something missing. It flirts with really big subject matter by pointing its finger at religion and mortality and the women's rights movements of the 70s. But it fails to comment on any of them, which kind of trivializes the subject matter if you think about it. As an homage of sorts to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it seems like it's afraid to commit to any particular view on any of the themes it presents to the audience, which might be a reflection of the current culture. For decades, intelligent horror directors have sewn socio-political subtext into their films to voice their own thoughts and opinions. And in the past, audience members were free to agree or disagree with whatever the film was suggesting.
But nowadays, a lot of people believe they're more... As a person with absolutely no influence yet, I can't really say how I feel about the way things currently are because of the way things currently are.
Suffice it to say, I can't quite figure out what X's underlying point was, which I suppose is only really a problem if you think horror movies need an underlying point.
The verdict.
So, should you watch X if you haven't seen it already?
Absolutely. This is a carefully crafted slasher. It's acted brilliantly. It's shot to perfection. There's more than enough gore, and a porn star gets her head cranked off by a giant alligator. What else do you want? Until next time, folks. It's me, Johnny, from that thing you just watched. If you enjoyed it, go down there and smash me in the face to subscribe. And if you want to watch another thing, there's one right there. Do it!